Evening, everyone, and all who may be listening. This is Pastor Larry with a moment in the Word on this Friday morning, down to the 19th of February, and hope that you had a good day today. And uh, we're down to the ninth chapter of the book of Revelations. And you remember, hopefully, if you watched last night's or yesterday's video, we covered the eighth chapter there, where the seventh seal, that is the final seal of the seventh seal book, was open, and we mentioned that the seventh seal there finishes that book being open, and now then everything that is to happen during the tribulation period is open for display. And the seventh seal takes us actually all the way down to the end of the chapter. It'll introduce the seven trumpets, and then it'll introduce also, which will introduce the seven vials, and bring us down to end of chapter 19, when the destruction of the Antichrist, the false prophets, the sealing of Satan himself. You remember, hopefully, when we entered into chapter 7, the seventh seal was open, and seven angels stood before God. They're having seven trumpets, and then there was another angel who had an incense there before the incense of the altar. And in that incense there was the prayers of the saints. These are the tribulation saints who've been praying back in chapter 6 for vengeance upon those who had killed them and so forth. Well, their prayer is about to be answered as we enter into the seven trumpets. You remember on the first trumpet, and remember I said last night or yesterday that the first 3.5 years of the tribulation period has now ended, and now then we're entering into, or actually this is preparatory, it's a preview of what's going to happen in the last 3.5 years. And we mentioned the two things that were different. One was that in the first 3.5 years, all the damage that is done in the sense of the word. In other words, the people that are killed, the famine, and the four horsemen of the apocalypse, and so forth, is man doing damage. You see Antichrist sitting up his throne and bringing judgment, or bringing, or we could say, destroying those who resist him. Now we come to the seven trumpets, and we're going to get a preview of what's going to happen in the last 3.5 years, as no longer is it man persecuting man, but now then it's going to be God pouring out his wrath upon both Israel and the wicked. We mentioned last night that when the plagues hit Egypt back in Exodus, that Israel was spared. Well, now then Israel is going to be incur the wrath of God here during these last 3.5 years, in order that he might purge Israel and bring out of it the remnant that Paul speaks of there in chapter 12 or chapter 11 of book of Romans. So let's look real quickly at what he has to say here in this ninth chapter of Revelations. It says, and the fifth, by the way, one more thing. The last verse you remember in chapter 8 was an angel flew through heaven, saying there that the first four woes is over now, and he pronounces woe, 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 concerning the fifth, sixth, and seventh trumpet that is to be sounded. And here in chapter 9 it said, and the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key to the bottomless pit. There's some differences in opinion among very knowledgeable teachers. Some believe that this angel, this star that falls from heaven, is Satan himself. Totally unlikely that God would give Satan the keys to the bottomless pit where all of the demons are. Most likely, remember in the Old Testament, especially in the book of Job, angels are called stars. And this angel here, this fifth or the fifth trumpet, is the star is the angel. We will say the fifth angel or the angel with the fifth trumpet, and he is not a fallen star, though it says, John says, I saw a star falling. Probably what he's saying is here that he was descending at such speed that it had the appearance of a falling star. But he is actually the same angel in chapter 20 that will be given the keys to the bottomless pit and a chain, and he will bind Satan and cast him into the bottomless pit. One in the same. And so you can decide whether you want to agree with the side of where the star is the fifth angel or whether he is Satan himself. It said here in verse 2, and he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, and the smoke of the great furnace, and the sun and the air was darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. Now, let me say this bottomless pit is not the lake of fire. It is not Tartarus, where seemingly the pre-Adamic angels are who left their habitation are held in chains. Nor is it Gehenna, which is the lake of fire, but it is a special place where demons are reserved unto judgment. And during the time of Christ, Christ cast some of these demons out. We go Matthew chapter 12, Matthew chapter 15, various others, chapters were in Luke, where Jesus cast demons out of different individuals. The demon he cast out of the Phoenician woman's daughter, which was afflicted with demons and so forth. These demons were disembodied spirits. Other way in Luke 8, I believe it is, he casts the legion of demons out of the man of Gadara, and they go into the swine and are swallowed up in the sea, and from there, no doubt, will probably the sea there, the word for it there seems to be the fact that it's a bottomless pit. In other words, Jesus sent them back to the bottomless pit. In verse 3 it said, and there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power as the scorpions of the earth have powers. Now, these are different types of locusts than the locusts that was released in the plagues there in Exodus concerning Egypt. Normally, a locust will come between May and September. They will come in swarms of thousands, and they will eat every green thing that they've even been said that they would even eat the bark off the trees. But these are different locusts. Number one, they're commanded not to eat any green vegetation there as far as the grass, the leaves on the trees, and so forth. But they are sent to torment men during this for 5 months there. And you'll notice it says here, describes them quite different. It doesn't tell us the size of them, but it does give us a description of it. It said, and there came out of the smoke locusts upon the earth, and unto them was given power as the scorpions of a earth have power. The scorpions of the earth, if you have been stung by a scorpion, it is excruciating. Some people are even allergic to them. Dr. Adrian Rogers said he was stung by one, and that it almost sent him into a I don't remember if the word was coma or just what the word was, but extremely excruciating. And they're going to have that sting, that scorpion sting in their tails. And he said, it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass or the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree. Notice this, but only those men which have not sealed, has not the seal of God in their foreheads. And so they're sent to torment them. It's going to be a time of tremendous torment. Let me say to you, if you're listening to me tonight and you're not saved, I encourage you to get saved. Remember, the theme of Revelations is what cannot be redeemed must be destroyed. And but before they are allowed to die, they're going to go through excruciating pain here on earth, to say nothing about the eternal hell that you'll spend eternity in, or that you'll live throughout eternity in. For hell can't be spent, eternity can't be spent, but you'll live throughout eternity in hell. It says that they are to torment men which have not the seal of God in their foreheads. Remember, in chapter 7, God sealed 144,000 Israelites who was to go throughout the earth proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom, and as a result, many people would be saved. In chapter 11, we'll be introduced to two more, and in chapter 14, we'll be introduced to another angel who's going to be preaching an everlasting gospel. Okay, in verse 14, it said, and the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates, and let me get the other verse. So, for saying to the sixth, this is the sixth angel, he says, well, wait a minute, I missed quite a bit of it here. I went from chapter 4 all the way to 14. It said, and to them that was given, this is the scorpions, and to them was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months, and their torment was as a torment of a scorpion when he striketh a man. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. And the shape of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle, and on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces was as the face of a man, demonstrating intelligence, and they had the hair as the hair of a woman, and their teeth were as the teeth of lion. In other words, this is a locust like none that's ever been seen before. And if you turn over to the second chapter of Joel, I believe it's verses 4 through 10 there, Joel, I believe, prophesies of these things. He calls them horsemen, but he also says they climb walls and goes through windows and torment. And so horses don't climb walls, horses don't go through windows, and so very possibly the locusts that John is describing here are the same ones that Joel is describing in chapter 2. And when Joel says in the latter days, he would put them in the same time frame as these. And encourage you to turn over and read the book of Joel in chapter 2 there. Anyway, he goes on to say, and they had breastplates, as it were, breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was as a sound of chariots of many horses running to battle. And they had tails like unto scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. Again, that's the standard lifetime of a locust from May to September. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue has his name as Apollyon. Now, whether it's Hebrew or whether it's Greek there, the two words in each individual language means destroyer. And it's interesting here. There's a king in the bottomless pit. This would be different from Satan, for Satan is going to be bound in the bottomless pit, and but he is not the king. Nowhere in the Bible is Satan referred to by either of these names, either Abaddon or Apollyon. Notice in verse 12 it says, one woe is past, that would be the fifth woe. And behold, there came two woes more thereafter, meaning the sixth and the seventh. I'm going to stop here with verse 12 because we already have ended the 15 minutes. So we'll stop here. We'll pick up with the sixth seal for tomorrow morning for Sunday. Anyway, this is Pastor Larry with a moment in the Word. Go forth today. Bless someone. Share with them Christ. It'll bless you, bless them, and bless God. And God will bless you for your faithfulness. If you're not a Christian tonight, my goodness, read this chapter and you don't want to be there. You don't want to be on planet Earth when the fifth, sixth, and seventh seals are opened. Have a wonderful Friday. Get ready for the weekend when we can go back and worship God again. Have a wonderful day.